I'm Andrea. You have to excuse me. I can't speak standing still. It's not a disease. It's my behavior. Just so, I'm not spreading this kind of disease, just to clarify. Okay. So I'm Andrea. I'm a pharmacist. I'm not a statistician. I'm not a mathematician. And therefore, I didn't get the gut to put, statistics somewhere in the title, because that's not the point. So what I do, I work at the MHRA. MHRA is the regulatory agency within the UK. And my aim is to take you to a journey. And the journey is very simple. So I've been amazed by, all the previous stuff, because I love statistics. I think that I'm an apprentice. So I understand 5%, and the 95% is blowing my mind, but I don't understand it, but that's the way it is. So then, by using my laser pointer that I was born with, which is my finger, what I'm going to do, I think that I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell you who we are. So we, in terms of the division that I belong to. I'll give you a snapshot on the regulatory reform, because that's important for you as a sponsor. But I will do a deep dive on the future development. So in terms of time allocation, 2 minutes, 2.5, 15, 30 seconds for a question, and that's it. All right? Just to be very clear. So, so who we are and what we do. All right, let's start straight away. So we are the Clinical Investigations and Trials Unit, a mid-sized unit, a national unit. I'm the deputy director of this unit, maybe. And we are 51 people. Yeah, okay. Divided in 3 teams. Clinical trials is equivalent of medication. Clinical investigation is the equivalent of devices. Clinical investigations and trial operation is the machinery that is pumping the bloodstream with the oxygen inside the mechanics, and they do the data analytics, workflow allocation, intelligence, and real-time analysis for us. Now, for the purpose of today, I'm going to concentrate on this one, on the clinical trials. So, clinical trial has 3 teams: medical assessor, qualified physician, or clinical team, non-clinical assessor, pharmacology, toxicologist, and the quality team, pharmacologist, okay? So when you send us a trial, this guy will look at it. And what they do is this. I'm going to amaze you now. They do a regulatory review. Now, my question, what does it mean? What does it mean? Can one of you tell me what a regulatory review is? Yeah, exactly. So when I joined the MHRA, I was in academia for many years. So I joined the team and said, what do you do on a daily basis? We do a regulatory review. Okay. I couldn't say, oh, well, I don't understand, because it was not looking good. So I said, okay, I'm going to Google it. I couldn't find anything, 0. So it took me 2 months to understand that the regulatory review is a safety review. What they do, they put their glasses on and they look at the safety issue and the protocol. You know, is it the dose too high? Is it too low? Are you recruiting the pink instead of the yellow? All that kind of stuff. So we are looking at safety. Therefore, our key research question is this trial safe? Yeah. So if it is safe, we rubber stamp it. If it's not safe, we raise question. And we call them ground for non-acceptance, GNAs. Does it make sense? All good? Yeah, good. So on a yearly basis, what we do, we receive about 5,350 applications. They are divided in 2 families: the clinical trial initial, master protocol, or whatever you would like to call it, and about 4,000 amendments. So 800 and 4,200, so 5,000, 5,300. The ratio is between 1 initial, 5 amendments. That's the ratio. Are we all happy with what is an initial and what is an amendment? Yeah, because that will be very important later on, okay? Because this is where, the adaptive design can play a big role into it, okay? So, 2 minutes gone. All right, let's get on. So that's very important, because the current legislation in the UK was approved and kicking in 2004. So it's 20 years old. And we decided that we got rid of it because we got enough. We want the new one. So in December 2024, the new clinical trial regulation was laid before Parliament in the UK. And it was approved, and approved also in Northern Ireland in April. So in about 12 months, in terms of transition time, we will have the new regs, okay? And that's very important for every one of you, for the following reasons. Right, it will create a proportionate and flexible regulatory environment, and I'm going to explain this in a nutshell. It will create a good environment in terms of the UK is a good place to conduct trials, and it will be risk proportionate, right? So we are all familiar with risk proportionality, but there isn't a clear definition. Now, let me make it simple, right? So far in our law, we have the clinical trial submission, which is the normal submission, and in October 2023, we introduced the notification for clinical trial, okay? So that means that if the clinical trial fulfills some criteria, specifically for phase 3 and 4, you can submit the trial and it will be approved in 14 days instead of the normal time, which is between 30 and 60 days. For the ones that are not familiar with the UK system, we have a combined review system. So we, as the regulator, MHRA, will look at the safety, and the ethic committee, they will look at the ethical side, and we combine the outcome and we send the final letter to the sponsor, okay? This is called combined review. But my most important point for me is this one, that in the new law, we are introducing something new, which is this one, in new law, something new, which makes sense. So we are introducing the notification for some clinical trial initial according to specific characteristics, yeah? And also the notification for some amendment, which are fulfilling specific criteria. And I'm going to explain why now. I'm not going to touch the other one, not because they are boring, but because they're not really the meat of the afternoon for me, okay? You can stop me if you want. I'm not going to charge you for this. All right, so but what I would like to do, I would like to share with you is this, the 6 strategic vectors that we develop within our unit, because I think that you could play a big part as a stakeholder in this, right? So the first one is the new clinical trial regulation. The second is upstream advice. And I'm going to deep dive into each one of them in the next 10 or 15 minutes. The idea of the clinical trial life cycle package, where the adaptive design can play a big role. And then we have in silico trial, again, adaptive design can be attached to in silico trial. And then we have AI, artificial intelligence with large language model and NLP, yeah, natural language processing as well. Okay, and then the last bit is the Access Consortium. If you're not familiar, we, as a UK, we are working together with a consortium of 5 medium regulators. So it's the TGA Australia, HSA Singapore, Swissmedic, Switzerland, us, and Health Canada. Okay, we work together. And the Access Consortium represents about 150 million people. So a good market size, yeah, which is about 33% of the US. Oh, sorry, 40% of the US actually, and about 1/3 of the European market in terms of Euro 27, okay? Now, so the new regs are very important because they will streamline the process. Some clinical trials that are deemed very low risk will free up assessor time. And the assessor time will be used for upstream advice. What we would like to do is simple, and it's this. If you are a doctor and you see the patient, you treat the patient because it's coming with the condition, but the idea is to prevent the disease, okay? So instead of just waiting for your trial submission and then say, oh, we're not happy about this, we're not happy about that, and then we put all the mark with the red pen, we say, you come to us, we have a chat about, and we iron out the issue. So your submission will come to us, it will be free, and we rubber stamp it because you've done the job before. Does it make sense, this? It's very simple, the concept. It's not rocket science, right? Okay, so then upstream advice is very appealing to us, okay? And this is part of the new operating model. Then we are now starting to build momentum on this one and starting to introduce more and more. We provide 3 types of advice. The one that is free, you talk to us for free, no problem. The second is regulatory advice, which is more with the regulation, with the law and whatever. And the third one is a scientific advice meeting when we deep dive into the thing. And this is not for free, okay? But this is where we can discuss the adaptive design trial with our people. You know, if you have an idea, you come to us, we can discuss. We iron out all the issue beforehand, and then the submission will be free. Free in terms of, it will not be a bumpy ride, okay? We are strongly recommending this. This is very important because CID trials, so they are the complex innovative design trial, they represent about 5% of our submission. So out of 840 are CID. Within the CID, you have the adaptive design, okay? So we have a good representation. That's the first thing. The second is this one. This is very interesting because this is something that we learned during the COVID pandemic, but also last year when we were in America, myself and my colleague, my boss actually, we went to the FDA and we had a chat about this. And the idea is very simple, and it's this one. So far, you can submit a trial, let's say phase 1 or phase 2. Oh, don't take picture. You can, yes, please. So again.
Okay, you mentioned that you have to pay for the scientific advice meetings. There's a cost. Is that for all sponsor applications? So all
No. It's a voluntary. It's not mandated. So if you think that you want to have a meeting with us, a scientific advice meeting, that is not free. We're going to charge, and the charge is according to the number of disciplines that you need. You need the medical team, you need the pharmaceutical team, you need the toxicology team, you need the statistician, and we built up what you need. Is fit for purpose according to your requirement. So you send us the briefing, you send us the question, and we create the team that is needed for you.
So this sounds like a process that's similar to the US pre-IND meeting.
Yes, indeed.
However, in the US, there's not a charge for that pre-IND meeting. And you can be a sponsor investigator from an organization that is a nonprofit research organization, for example, that would submit a trial with assets that are manufactured by pharmaceutical companies, but not have to pay for it. So I just want to confirm this applies to any sponsor.
Maybe we can, I just
want
to let you get through your talk, and maybe we can have the rest of this conversation during the Q&A period.
Thank you.
That's great. No, thank you very much for this. So far, the scientific advice meeting is not free, just to clarify, but thank you very much. Okay, so this idea is a very simple one. So far, you submit a trial, and then we assess the trial. But what about submitting a program like in the US? This is what we did with the COVID pandemic in the UK. So if you have, let's say, from the first in human, so you are moving from the animal model into the first in human, and then phase 2, and then phase 3, you can submit potentially a master protocol with all the phases. And then we start to work with you upfront during the preparation of the first in human. You submit the first in human, and then we work with you again with the phase 2, and so on and so forth. And that will require an amendment or a notification. Okay, this will come into play. We're going to start testing this model in autumn 2025. Okay, this is quite interesting because if you think about adaptive design, they fit the bill pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So, I don't know if if you come from the US, you are very familiar with the CERSI. We, in some way, borrowed this idea and we adapted to the UK, and we have 7 CERSIs. The CERSI are the Center for Excellence in Regulatory Science and Innovation. Okay. So I work with the CERSI for in silico trial, is a big one. There are 85 different organizations involved. The PI of the CERSI is in Manchester, but they are scattered everywhere in the UK, and there is a collaboration with the FDA. I'm not going to go to the benefit of the in silico, but I'm going to show you the program of work that we have. We have 9 cases, actually there are 10. We had another one. So far is heavily skewed on devices, but more CERSI are coming, more proposals are coming for medication. Why is this important? Well, let me give an example. So far, 1 in 8 trials that are coming to us is a first in human. First in human can be a challenge because the non-clinical data are not good enough, they're not coming from OECD mud country, and so on and so forth. Right, okay. So what about topping up the proposal with the in silico modeling, where you can expand the sample size, you can do whatever you want, pretty much limitless, according to common sense. And this exercise with the CERSI is aiming to create a few things. First, model-informed evidence, a kind of a benchmark. What is a good one? Yeah, what is the reference in some way? But it's also allowing us to work with the CERSI community, the in silico community, to develop the regulation that are fit for purpose for the in silico trial. Because so far we have, I think, ICH M15, something like that, if I'm not getting wrong. But we would like to learn as much as we can to ensure that we are working in a supportive way. Okay? Does it make sense, this? Okay. So, this is something that we published 10 days ago. It is the first publication from the MHRA in terms of looking at the trial. We analyzed 4,616 trials, thank you very much. And there are some information regarding the demographic. I'll point out a few of them. Out of the 4,600 trials, only 1.1% include the pregnant woman and 0.6 breastfeeding. What does it mean? It means that there is the need for adaptive trial where you can play with the sample size, and even more, you can embed into the sample size in silico, virtual twins, digital technology. So the future is for grabbing. Does it make sense, this? We had even 6 in utero trial. I couldn't believe it. Yeah? 30% of the submission, of the 4,600 submission, are for cancer, and heart disease, which is the biggest killer, only 5.2%. So this paper is informing now the government policy to reshape the system and the research. Okay. So why is this important? I'm not going to go into the detail of this because I got 4 minutes left, but I'm going to show you something. We wanted to start to using AI. We went everywhere around. We talked to pharmaceutical company, and they say it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. So what we did, we built it from scratch, working in collaboration with a partner. We launched yesterday 2 AI tools. One is called support assessment, and this is helping our assessor to find the information very quickly. The second is support training. This is helping our assessor, the new assessors that are coming, to learn quickly, okay? And the third is a sponsored one. This is going to be launched during the summer. Let me give you a taste of this. So if we have a GMP question, finding information is a repetitive task, okay? They need to go through the protocol, 300-400 pages, and they need to find the information. Very simple. That's the question. In the best case scenario, a very expert assessor, 30 minutes. In the worst case scenario, a not super expert assessor with a difficult case, 180 minutes. AI, 35 seconds. So it speaks for itself. We can use the time saved to talk to you, sponsor, and find out the best trial design that we can get for the proposal that you're coming to us to present. Does it make sense? Okay, so this is real. Yesterday started. So we run 2 proof of concept from October until March, and then we are launching it. So yesterday, we started yesterday, okay? So the potential benefit, well, it's just the summary. But let me go to the last one, which is interesting, this one. So we are working with the Access Consortium. We are chairing the Access Consortium at the moment, but it's a fantastic team of people with a huge experience compared to me. I've got 0, to be honest with you. But what we did, we conducted the first mapping across the piece, the 5 jurisdictions. We identify all the type of clinical trial that are around, how many per year, the quantity, the quality, the stratification according to the phases. And what we realized that 148 trials were conducted across the jurisdiction and 3 across 5 jurisdictions. So the idea is that we are working now to create a system whereby in the very near future, you can submit one of the trials to one jurisdiction, and if this is approved by the jurisdiction, we will have kind of a reliance model, and the trial can become a multinational trial by default. It could be conducted in 3, 4, 5 jurisdictions. Does it make sense, this? And again, going back to the trial design, depending on the design, every jurisdiction have their own teams, by all means, and therefore we can work with you on this. So my talk was not about statistics, but how can what you do fit what we do? I hope that helps. Thank you for listening.
Right. That's great. Now there's time for questions.
Yes, just to answer, yes, we pay, and we are very greedy. No, I'm joking. No, but at the moment we can offer informal meeting, which can last for an hour, no problem. Regulatory meeting, free again, 2, 0, which is okay. And the third, you have to pay. Sooner or later, you have to pay something. Okay, all good? Yes, please.
Just wait for the mic.
Just a very quick question. I was wondering to what extent the use of AI and these large language models were part of the proposals for the change of the legislation?
Okay, so the change of the legislation was informed by the paper that we published. We analyzed the paper, and that allows us to create the criteria. The large language model came to my mind because I was a professor at the uni, I'm still a professor, but at the MHRA, I'm doing a different job. Yeah, I'm still doing research. I'm still CI, API in trials. I just finished my last one. So the idea is this one. We receive a protocol with 400 or 500 pages, and then people need to stay seated on that desk and go through every single page to find the information. Okay, let me use this analogy. So let's say that I've got disease in my brain, okay? So many years ago, what happened is that they were waiting for me to die. So they opened the school, oh yeah, that's the issue. Then they invented the X-ray. Then they move on, they invented the MRI. Then they invented the PET, and the story goes on. So now the consultant does this, put you through the machine will take a picture and will give you a picture, and you will interpret the picture, and you will make the final decision. You have a disease, you don't have a disease, right? So the principle is exactly the same. We use a machine to enhance what we do and to find the information that we need in a quicker way. What is important is that the machine will never decide yes or no. Only the person will make the final decision if he's happy with the machine. But the machine at the moment is doing a very, very tiny bit. But within the machine is built a system that is a scoring. So how good is or how bad is. And to give you an example, we trained the machine for the GNAs, feeding it with 110,000 GNA. I don't know if I answer your question.
So I'm just double checking when the proposals for the legislation and all that, when all that went out, was
it didn't include AI. It didn't include AI because it was before my time, actually. It was before my time.
Right. No, that's all I wanted to.
Sorry.
Thanks.
In the back.
So I joined the MHRA in June 2023. So the launch of the process was 2 years before, I believe.
Thanks, Andrea. The Access Consortium, I noticed, has a very non-European feel to it. And I wondered if your view of the direction the MHRA will go in terms of procedures and processes and approvals. Do you see it diverging from the EMA and being more independent in that respect in the way it deals with the evolving landscape of clinical trials?
I've been told times and times again that we are a sovereign regulator. So we make our own rule. But of course, you know, if the European are saying that this desk is red, we cannot say that is yellow, is red. Does it make sense? Okay, we can say, well, is a dark red or not a dark? Yeah, that means that we have to be aligned with the other regulators. We cannot go off tangent because, you know, we know that trials are multinational, particularly if you think about phase 3, by default, they need larger numbers. Phase 1, you know, first in human, you need 10 people, 30 people, that's it. But when you think about 3, usually you go large, very large. Therefore, we have to be aligned.
But we still need lots of different regulators.
Yes. And I think that the reason is this. You need a lot of statisticians. So what it means that I don't think that there is the gold rule or the golden rule, but I think that what we should do, we should try to harmonize as much as we can. And within the access, we are trying to go through this pathway. We started in June 2024, and we are now creating 2 work streams. One is information sharing, and the other one is looking at how we can leverage the activity among us. It is good because access could become a lab for this kind of activity because it's tiny. If you think about the other regulator, bigger organization, probably it's more difficult to combine the activity. But we are kind of a like-minded people, and therefore I think that I'm very positive about this.
Thank you.